What is up, everyone? Lincoln and Gordon here for another episode of the FloTrack podcast. It is Wednesday, March 4th. We just have NCAA entries, NCAA Indoor entries coming out. We're looking at maybe some tabulations, some calculations about how USATF is going to figure out their Olympic team from people that maybe don't have the standard. Basically, a lot to talk about as we look towards NCAAs next week in Albuquerque. Gordon, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Fun. Haven't seen you since the Olympic trials, so it's always good to see your face.
That's right. Yeah, I'm still here.
I feel like we talked enough about the Olympic trials, but one last thing. How was it from you telling me your perspective? Did you have a good time?
It was a great time. You know, a little colder than I would have liked, but we saw some good racing, and the food in Atlanta I can vouch for.
What'd you have?
It's very good. I had
Vegan?
everything.
Was it vegan
Yeah,
options?
I mean, I had pizza one day, I think it was an Impossible Burger. I know people are going to roll their eyes to that.
From
Jimmy John's only twice, so that's not bad for a trip because typically the line is like 2.5. So
It's
yeah,
only
it
a
was good trip.
1-to-1 ratio for Jimmy John's today spent, in
Correct. So
location.
it was a
a light Jimmy John's
yeah,
week.
it was light because there was 4 days and I could have gone there 4 times, very close to the hotel. But yeah, I'm ready to talk about NCAAs.
Yeah. Before that we talk about it, let's talk a little bit about the world rankings.
Okay.
And
I'm going to lean on you heavily.
Yeah.
here, 'cause
So I'll explain it. So last night, USATF announced how they're going to be selecting their team at the Olympic trials in June in Eugene. And at first, people thought it was going to be a certain way, but now USATF has announced the actual way they're going to do it. What people thought was going to happen is the way it's always been. If you have the standard and you're top 3, you go.
Right.
If you don't have the standard and you're top 3, but someone behind you has a standard, they go. So
Right.
third doesn't have it, but fourth does. Fourth would go. And then weirder situations where, say, only 2 people in the entire field have the standard, then a third person will go if the now World Athletics invites them to fill a field. But that doesn't happen. It happens a lot of times more in like the field events. So that's how it's always been. However, as you know, a year ago, the World Athletics announced much harder standards.
Right.
Standards that, people were kind of scared of. But like,
Someone call him spooky.
yeah, someone call them spooky. But like aren't, when you really think about it, it's actually not that bad of standard. I mean, it eliminates some people who are fringe trials qualifiers, but in the end, I mean, 10:05 is the 100. I mean,
That's never going to be a problem.
that's never going to be a problem. You're going to be running sub 10:05, 11:15 for the women. If you can't run a sub 11:15, you're not making an Olympic team.
Yeah.
So 1:45.2 for the 800. That's just the new world we're in. The harder ones I would say is 3:35 flat for the men's 1500.
I think that's the hardest standard of the whole
Yeah.
thing, and maybe the 10,000s.
And the 10K,
Yeah.
27:28 on the men's side. 15:10 for the women now is seeming easier and easier.
Yeah.
Because what we just saw at BU.
Yeah.
But the standards are much harder.
Sure.
And so a lot of athletes will be like, I don't think I can hit that standard.
Yeah.
But I think I can get top 3. USATF's not going to pick me. And people are freaking out. But we can calm down because USATF announced that if you have the standard and you're top 3, you go. But if you're top 3 and are ranked high enough in the world rankings, you can go.
Okay.
Now, how do you know if you're ranked high enough? There's going to be ways to know. You're not going to know if you're ranked high enough, basically, until after the race. But you'll know what range you're in.
Very viewer friendly.
And we'll try to update our viewers basically on a weekly. It actually makes updating it more interesting because your ranking is going to change every week and you're going to know, like, am I close to a top 48 ranking or not?
Well, my question is, if you get top 3, does that boost your rankings enough to where you don't have to worry about it? Is there any scenario in the premier events, and I talk about basically the sprints and basically everything but the throws. We know in the shot put we're not going to have to worry about Americans not hitting the standard. We have several of the best in the world. But in the premier, the sprints and the distance and some field events, are we going to have to even worry about this where someone could finish top 3, say, in the 1500 and legitimately not have the ranking to go? Because wouldn't that boost your ranking enough?
It can happen in a 10K for sure because only 24 athletes get to go. 1500 is a maybe. Same thing with 5K. But I just think, most of the 5K people are going to be hitting that standard regardless.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be men's 1500 and men's and women's 10K are going to be the ones that are truly what is going on here, and then a few field events. So the way you find out is World Athletics, announced that they know the field size. So for example, they know the 1500 field size is 48.
Yeah.
So you can go on their website and you can look at the world rankings for the 1500, and you can limit the rankings to 3 per country.
Right.
And when you do that, you go to the 48th ranked athlete, and you can look at their score. And I believe their score of the 48th ranked athlete currently as of February 25th is 1140. That's the score, 1140. So you can then sort by only show Americans, and it turns out we currently have 8 U.S. men who have a score that is over 1140. That's Craig Engels, who has a 1297, Gregoric 1253, Centro 1240, Blankenship 1218, Prackle 1194, Josh Thompson 1170, Rob Napolitano 1157, and Isaac Yorks just squeaking in there with 1148. Henry Wynn 1138, so he's right behind that.
And 3 of those guys already have the standard.
And 3
Ingles, Centro, and Thompson don't have to worry about this at all.
They don't have to worry about it at all, but it kind of shows, though, that, what's Rob Napolitano's, PB right now? I mean, he's run a 354 mile. He's run 338. That's 3 seconds off the standard.
Right.
And he's currently in position to be with the standard. Again, that number 1140 might get harder as the year goes on, as more people race and people racing faster. So that's what's going to be dynamic about it. But at least gives you that opportunity that, say you run 335.5 and you just don't have any other time trials left, you can still bank on having a world ranking high enough, which is the right thing for USATF to do, and also everyone can now relax.
It can. I mean, my favorite part about this is it's still confusing. I mean, it's impossible to just know. You're if you're an athlete, I think you either have to say, well, I'm going to chase the standard, or I'm going to rely on this all working out if I finish top 3, because it's still, it hasn't ended controversy. Obviously, this is a move to support the athletes a little bit more, and to not deny world athletics rankings, even if they are confusing. I think that was part of USATF's thing last year is, they didn't want there to be necessarily any uncertainty when we got to the teams. However, the increased difficulty of the standard could have eliminated some people that definitely, because you make a team where 335 is a standard and you walk away, specifically in the men's 1500, you come in and only Thompson, Ingles, and Centro have it. Those are the 3, as it stands right now, that are most likely to make the team. They finished top 3 last year, but certainly you could find somebody in a 340 to 345 race that could kick for a spot, and then that's where you get issues. So that athletes, even if they don't fully understand it, what's the scenario, I think they're going to be obviously hugely in support of this. And the best thing you can do is just race. Don't just sit on your butt if you don't have the standard. Maybe you don't need to necessarily go time trial every time, but you need to go try to get yourself into a Diamond League, get yourself into a Continental Tour, or running fast even domestically to make sure that you're in position to qualify if you can't hit 335.
Well, one interesting thing is, I'm not sure if this is kind of a ripple effect, but I think most of us, and even Paul Chalimo himself, has he went to try to get the Olympic standard, couldn't get it,
right.
And in the 10K I'm talking about, and kind of was okay, I'm focusing on the 5. Does this his score in the 10K is high enough for the standard? Mm-hmm. Will this change Paul Chalimo's mind about attempting to run the 10K, knowing that he doesn't need to run 27-28 in order to qualify? He can just continue with his ranking and, ride that? Because that changes it if Paul all of a sudden wants to run a tactical 10K at the trials. He's going to be top.
But I don't know if it's going to be tactical. It really wasn't super tactical last, in Des Moines, and now you think you're going to Eugene where the weather's going to be better. Well, we'll see. I doubt it. I don't think he loves the 10,000, and I don't think it's his best distance. And coming off a time when he placed 7th at Worlds this past fall, I think he's going to try to go all in and really get a medal, because you never know with the 5,000. I mean, he's getting up towards 30. This may be one of his last shots. I mean, probably his last Olympic to medal. But you also, there's an argument to give yourself 2 shots to get a medal. 10,000 is pretty deep right now, actually. especially with Mo Farah coming back. We don't know if he's going to be the same level, but still pretty deep. And I could see Chalimo just doing that. However, this does, of course, change some things. He doesn't have to run. He may not have to run 27:28 based off his 5,000 meter pedigree. So maybe. However, the 10,000 is a tough team to make with Lamont Kipchirchir and then Career just missing the marathon team.
But yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how people are now going to be refreshing this, checking to see where they rank after they run a fast time.
Well, you will. I don't know if athletes will.
Right? I think their agents will. Their coaches will.
It always surprises me with athletes. It's
they don't know.
This is their livelihood, and you would think they want to be in tune. You'd almost want to be checking this, especially when outdoor starts. You almost want to be checking this on a daily basis. But it's not always the case, right?
Yeah,
some athletes don't even know when the time frame is for hitting the standard. I mean, that's less few and far between, but still, it happens.
We have some breaking news. Ruth Jabet has just been banned.
4 years. I mean,
4 years.
Took long enough. I mean, when was she busted? It was like, I mean, obviously, she.
So effective February 2018.
Okay. I mean,
so
it took 2 years. Jeez. I mean,
it's a 4-year ban, backdated from 2018.
Process moves slower than the judicial system here. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But okay, good. I don't know if she's got her medal stripped. I guess we can find that out. Probably not.
Do they have to actually give back the actual piece of metal?
I think so.
What if they say I lost it?
Well, there you go. I mean, good. You can keep that medal. That means absolutely nothing. But good. Get her out.
Doesn't mean absolutely nothing. You can lie to your grandchildren. Oh, back in my day. They don't know. They're not going to double check. Wait, technically, that was a stripped medal.
Yeah.
You could probably sell it on eBay for some. Would you buy a medal that's been stripped from someone off the eBay for like $20?
A doped medal?
A doped medal.
There you go.
It has a little bit of
for
weird
$20,
value.
Yes, I would buy it for $20. But beyond that, probably not. $20.
So you're an apologist now. For
somebody's going to try to sell that for like $20,000 or something.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's interesting what some people do with the medals. Carl Lewis doesn't have any of his medals.
What do you do with them?
He gave most of them, I think 7 of them.
7 of them.
To the Black History Museum.
Okay.
And then he buried the other.
What?
With his dad.
Oh, wow.
And his dad. He buried it with
I don't
his dad.
mean to make fun of that. Sorry.
And he made a joke to me. He's like, I didn't want my next of kin to sell it once I die and make a profit off of it. So he said, I'm gonna either give it to a museum or I'm gonna bury it so no one can ever make my profit off of these medals.
That seems like that could be a good story. Like, what do you do with your medals? You just gave me an idea. Might have to look into that because you hear a lot of people like, no, it's the primary attraction in my house, and then other people are like, no, people know I'm an Olympic gold medalist. I don't want someone to break into my house and steal it. They put it in a safe deposit box in the bank, or like you said, they donate it. I think when you get older,
putting it in a safe deposit box in the bank, you're not like enjoying it. It's just like you're never seeing it. Like, how do you enjoy?
Listen, I mean, maybe you save it for a rainy day when you need money. I don't know. You hear of people selling off their Super Bowl rings. I mean, you would hope you never sell. I just don't know what the resale market is with gold medals. And what about bronze or silver?
The resale market's all based on whose medal it is. I mean, Usain Bolt's gold medal.
Sure.
It's worth a lot more than the race walker from 2004.
Speak for yourself.
Right?
Yeah, well, specifically race walking because their medals are like reallocated because there's always dopers just loaded in there.
Or they were actually running.
Yeah.
Man,
we watched a race walk at USA's and like them telling guys to like stop running. Hilarious. It's just like, really?
They're telling people to stop running.
The cheating scandal. He was running.
He was running.
All right, where are we at?
So, and in the end, I think this is a good thing. It's going to make it a little complicated, I'm not going to lie, because there is going to be people in the 15 and the 10K without the standard, though, who are banking on world ranking, and they're going to be like, where am I? Because the world ranking isn't finalized until after the races.
Sense.
So.
Hey, man, I'm just going to be happy. If we get to this point, we have the trials, and the Olympics are still a go, I'm going to be in a great mood, regardless of who's there. That means this virus that shall not be named hopefully does not progress as bad as it says, and we're going to have an Olympic Games. Just hoping against hope. Should we talk NCAAs?
Every time you sneeze or see your son sneeze, do you freak out?
Not yet, but we're taking precaution. I went to HEB yesterday, which is a grocery store here in Texas, and all out of hand sanitizer. Just completely out. Had to get that foaming soap, which it's just fine. It's fine.
You weren't washing your hands before this? Now you're
Not
like,
this
what? I'm going to
much.
start washing my hands today.
Yeah, I hadn't washed my hands in years. I just thought it was overrated. I'm just kidding.
Showers? Who does that? So last night, they announced the NCAA entries based on coaches' scratches. So we now know our final 16. And not many scratches in the sprint events. There was one Florida athlete who scratched the 200, but I believe it's because he was hurt earlier on in the season. But all the big players are there.
Graduated.
Graduated,
okay.
yeah.
Or went pro. Just kidding.
Well, big players currently.
I get it.
There was one surprise that didn't make it, but we knew that was Chanel Brissett.
USC just trying to give this title away this year.
The defending champion, and was second outdoors. She was ranked 18th,
Yeah.
and she did not make it.
Year?
I'm guessing so. I mean, I think 3 of her teammates made it in that event. So it's not like USC dropped the ball, but you kind of do drop the ball a bit when you're
someone in
defending champ can't
category.
make it.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. And then it's not the event's not as strong. No Janique Brown this year. So
yeah.
Whew.
So it's gonna be interesting. I mean, we what's the order we want to talk about this? Should we talk about?
Well, I kind of want to talk about Dani Jones running the
Okay,
800
let's talk about some doubles.
mile.
The doubles decisions
Yeah.
on the distance side. Dani Jones didn't run the 3K at NPSF. Took it as a rest week. Same thing with her male
SEC coaches just raging.
Yeah, Colorado did that with a lot of the men and women. I mean, Klecker didn't run.
Yeah.
So, but Dani Jones, none of us. I mean, you could count on one finger or two, Dani's and Mark Wetmore's fingers, that she would run the 800.
And I just can't think it was the plan. She ran it as her season debut,
Yeah.
I think, to just do a rust buster. She ran her 800 at altitude on a flat track, converted down to 203. The 5,000-meter champion from last June is now in the 800 at NCAA Indoors. Just, what is it now, 9 months later. It's crazy.
And she's going for the 800-mile double, which is very likely that she's not going to anchor the DMR because she's not going to do 3 races on that first day. Miles before the 800. The mile is very weak, and I'll even say the 800 is kind of weak, so qualifying for the final, I don't think it's going to be that hard.
Right.
So if we just flash forward to the finals and assume Dani's able to make both, so on the mile, this is who our competition is going to be. Danae Rivers, Karina Villarone. That's about it.
If she wins the 800...
So that's a mile. First, we're talking about mile first.
Okay. I'm just
She's
saying...
gonna win that. She's gonna win the mile.
Yeah, the mile's...
She's gonna run that backwards, right?
Cakewalk, yeah.
So then she gets, I think, 90 minutes rest.
Okay.
80 minutes rest, something like that.
To face Nia Akins.
To face Nia Akins.
Basically.
And Carly Thomas from Washington, who's a freshman. She's
Yeah,
a 201 girl.
If Jones pulls off this sweep, I think we have to start talking about her. I realize maybe her times aren't, she's run some good times, but that's not necessarily what she's known for. We have to start talking about her as one of the greatest NCAA runners of all time. If you could win the 800,
the mile, she'll have an 800 title, a mile title, a 3K title, a 5K title, a DMR title, and a cross country title.
I mean,
that's insane.
I don't know if anyone has ever done that, but
definitely not.
That obviously easier.
She's just missing a 10K title.
Easier.
She'll get that outdoors.
Do you think she'll do that outdoors?
And a steeple. So do 10K steeple double.
Is that her purpose? Just to rack up this absurd resume? Because that's Jenny Simpson level of range, but on not. I don't want to say on steroids. That doesn't work out. But
she'll definitely be the first 800 meter champion to win cross country.
Is crazy. Now taking advantage of a little bit of a weaker event, but Nia Akins was second both indoors and outdoors last year. Broke number 2 all time in the women's indoor 8.
Beating Atkins is going to be legit.
Yeah, if she does that. But I think she can. I definitely think she can. She's run 203, and she did that in January, or maybe early February, and no one's doubting her mile speed. And you got to kind of get that momentum of when she wins the mile. I assume she will, and then come back off that. It can happen, and then she would have a incomparable resume that would just be insane.
It's interesting, just for the first time, saying out loud, 8 mile. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't have so she just doesn't have a 15, a 3K steeple, and a 10K to get every specific distance.
I don't see her running the steeple or the
Or 10K.
the 10K outdoors, but especially since it's in Austin.
Yeah. But this is kind of funny how she's like getting a little bit of everything.
It's 800 in cross country. That would say enough about how good
no
you
one's
are.
done that. Has anyone ever done that before? I doubt it.
I doubt it. That's
Do you know on a male 800 meter runners? Do you know how they finish in cross country?
in the 200s typically.
I mean, Emmanuel Corrier and Michael Cerrone were like second to dead last when they ran cross country.
Mm-hmm. It's tough, and she could, like I said, put herself in a position to be one of the greats of all time with that type of range. Now, like I said, some competition there, of course, and Aikens is a solid counterpart. The mile, though, like we mentioned, shouldn't be that hard for her to win.
Staying on the women's side, Whitney Orton decided to scratch the mile, scratch the 5K, to go all in on a DMR with her teammates at BYU. Some of the other BYU athletes scratched the 800.
All in
like
on that
they're
DMR.
just running the DMR fresh. They're pulling a Notre Dame, just like all in. And they're going to have some challenge, I think, mainly from Stanford, because Stanford is going to have some fresh women as well. Donahue isn't running the mile. So they're gonna have, and Stanford has a good 400 meter runner. Not that means much, but hey, a second or two, you never know.
Yeah.
But BYU, Whitney Orton, scratching the individual events. She's still doing the 3K. But do you like this move by BYU to go all in and no individual stuff?
I mean, Orton's been fantastic, and so I think they become the favorite. If you're not in contention to get a team title, might as well try to get a team title via the DMR.
Yeah.
The other events, the mile, you're thinking you're coming up against Jones, and then the 5, you're coming up against a whole bunch of women there.
Pilates, Izzo,
Monson, so I think it's a smart move. And then 3K, you know that some of the other favorites are going to be coming off that 5,000, and you're only going to have a 1,600 on your legs. No rounds is a nice thing for Orton, so I think that had a big part of it. But yeah, going for that DMR title, I think they were second last year with Burke anchoring. I think Orton is better now than Burke was a year ago. So they've got a very good shot to win that DMR.
Look at the range of some of these women's events from the seed 1 to seed 16. In the mile, there's going to be a race with the 427 miler going up against a 437 miler.
Yeah.
10 seconds in a mile. How long of a distance is that?
10 seconds? Well,
In a mile. It's a lot. It's like 80 meters?
80 meters. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, obviously, it was eight women, or no, how many make the final? 12? 12.
10.
10, my bad.
So the 10th is 436. So we're going to have, Dani Jones is 5 seconds faster than the next.
Yeah, she's going to win easily.
Yeah. And look at the 5K. You have 15:13, 15:14, right? And then a 16:04.
Yeah, 3 women outside of 16 minutes. Obviously, Izzo, Kaladi, they're some of the fastest ever.
Yeah.
In the 5,000.
But it's just seeing there's going to be a lot of lapped athletes in this women's 5K.
Can't wait. I love lapping. It's super entertaining. I love athletes swinging out in the lane 3 and 4. It's my favorite.
But
well, I mean, look at the 3K too. You
3K.
8:49 and 9:07.
Yeah.
You're never going to have that type of discrepancy. You're never going to have, what is that, 11 plus 18 seconds on the men's side. You're never going to go from 7:43 to 8:01.
Yeah.
You're just not going to have that.
It's interesting looking at some of the fields. Monson's going to be fresh for the 3K. We remember last year she won the 5K and then kind of had a bad race in the 3K.
Interesting that she's not doubling.
Yeah.
I mean,
she didn't go for it. Her time technically could have got in because if you look at it, 16:04 got in, so she could have. I think she ran 16:03 at Big Tens, but with no intention of running it. But with people scratching, she could have.
Right.
But yeah, I guess she's realizing that she's not prepared for a double, and it's kind of rather just go all in on one event.
And it's an Olympic trials year. Obviously, her chances of making an Olympic team are far-fetched, I guess you could say, or it's a long shot.
Yeah.
But knowing that she ran a double last year, then promptly got hurt outdoors, and then wasn't able to compete at the NCAA region or the prelims, it makes sense to try to do that when you're trying to stretch your season all the way to the end of June.
Let's talk a little bit about the men. Checking out some of the cutoff times for the men It took a 148.76 to get in on the 8.
Okay, not bad. Not as bad as the event was looking for a while.
358.45 to get in.
The scratch fest that is the mile.
The 3 guys scratched in the mile, but 358.45 is still pretty good to be the 16th fastest. It took a 7:51 flat in the 3K. Took a 13:40.99. That's pretty good. I don't know the last time sub 13:41 was the last time in. I mean, normally it's like 13:45 is like that cutoff, but
Who's winning this 5? Who's winning this 5,000?
Who's winning the 5?
Yeah, who would you put the money on right now? Kurgat?
Put my money.
Klecker? I'd probably go Klecker.
Klecker. Yeah, put my money on Klecker.
Yeah.
I think let's go Klecker, Kurgat.
Mm-hmm.
And then NAU.
Yeah, Klecker, Kurgat.
So there's a lot of stuff we can unpack here. First thing I want to unpack is NAU. They qualified 10 entries. We've been talking about this.
Not bad.
They have 2 in the mile, 3 in the 3K, 5 in the 5K.
Yeah.
So 7 guys running 10 events. It's kind of cool. It's 7 guys. It's a cross-country team. They're all this cross-country runners.
Yeah.
They try to
Some would say that's a narrative.
They try to qualify in the DMR at Big Sky at altitude. They end up running the 14th fastest time, so they just missed top 12. But they actually ran. I watched the race on this random last live stream for Big Sky. But they ran. The guys ran well. The reason they didn't make it is a 400 leg. Their 400 leg ran 51.5.
That's tough.
Whereas Grijalva at altitude ran 255. Day at altitude ran 402, which is like very good.
Yeah.
And then Quacks ran 152. You know, when you take you can't ask for anything more from those guys. It was just they needed their 400 guy to run 49 seconds, and then they would have had a top 12 time.
Is it a blessing in disguise that they don't make it, though, so they're a little bit more fresher? You know, we saw Wisconsin last year with Oliver Hoare try to triple him when he ran 4 races, and he was basically a ghost when he was done.
And they're also more focused because the whole idea would be like Beamish and Quacks are kind of be like, do we run the DMR? Do we not? Like,
yeah, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, what
to
expect coming into the meet.
And it's on the back of your mind. So if I don't make it, it's okay because then I can still come back and run the DMR.
Right.
Now it's like, no, I'm here for the mile and the mile alone. But yeah, they tie Oregon's record for most entries in the 3K, 5K combined with 8. Oregon had 5 3K guys and 3 5K guys back in 2015, the year they scored 70.
You're talking historically, not this year.
No, the year that they scored 70 distance points.
Yeah.
Chesarek, Jenkins, Gohegan, and they had a DMR and all that stuff. They had 3 milers score. But it's definitely the most 5K. They have 5 guys in the 5K, which is
pretty good. Pretty good.
And they have 5 guys in the 5K, not counting Jordy Beamish, who's a sub 13:30 guy.
Yeah.
Not counting
outdoors.
Outdoors. But not counting Beamish, not counting Bosley and Brody Hasty.
I think Beamish is a 13:31 guy.
13:31. Sorry. Apologies.
People are going to hold us accountable.
Yes.
No, I agree. Beamish.
Kind of wild.
Yeah, obviously Beamish, you can't expect him to run the mile, 3K, 5K, but this is, with these 5 guys, you obviously look at Day and Grijalva as the cream of the crop, and the guys
they're the scorers.
They're the scorers, anything else is a bonus. Do we get anything do they get anything out of Farrow, Nur, and Raf?
Not Raf and Farrow, but I will say Abdihamid Nur is going to be at least, it's going to finish in the 6th or 7th range, in my opinion.
I mean, let's break this down though. Where are we
at?
He's
He's been running well. He dominated. He won both the 3K, 5K at Big Sky.
Against who was his primary competition?
His teammates.
Did Grijalva and Day were in there?
Yeah.
Oh.
He just he smoked them. I mean, they also could be like whatever. He's a freshman. He's having fun and they're going 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't need to kind of lean for that. But he looked very smooth. Okay. Just put it that way.
Let's compare this team now that we are no other races, no other meets ahead of NCAAs. LSU, Texas, who are they fighting up against?
So LSU is the favorite. They're projected to score 49 points. NAU is projected to score 39.
Okay.
I think.
How did LSU? Just getting back on the trials. So many things going. How did LSU get this bump? What'd they do?
So LSU is going to be on the backs of
their jumpers.
Their jumpers. Right now we have them projected to go 1-2 in the long jump.
Yeah, that'll help.
Which
it's a fickle event, though.
They might not do that.
Yeah.
They didn't go 1-2 at SECs. They kind of had a bad day at SECs. We have him winning the high jump. I mean, he can easily get Harrison can easily get second. We have him getting 6 points in the hurdles and 12 in the 200 and 3 in the 4x4. 12 in the 200s, them going. They have 3 entries. I have them winning it and then having a 7th. But I think
Who's the guy? Who do you have winning then?
Terrence Laird,
What do you run?
2049. He won SECs.
Okay.
He's good. He's the best.
But at the same time, Harris has run right around that, right?
Yeah. I mean, he
Yeah.
can. I mean, he's just running well. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, sure.
But we're gonna know about LSU's chances because before the day 2 starts because we have them scoring 28 points in a long jump and high jump.
Right.
And if that number goes down, which I think it will, because it's them having a perfect day, 1, 2, and a 1.
Sure.
I can see NAU being in position to get to that 40. I think it's going to be 40 points to win.
Yeah.
I think LSU's going to come down. I think other teams are going to come up, but I think 40 is going to be the winning number. I think 30 is the podium number.
Yeah.
And the question is, can NAU score 30 points? Yes. Can they score 40? Maybe. And I think that's going to be the question. I think we'll know after the 5K. I think they need to score at least 15 points in the 5K.
Oh, yeah.
Which they can do. They have 5 guys.
Could do it through 2 guys.
You can do 2 guys.
Anything else is a bonus.
I mean, if they can upset a Klecker or a Kurgat, Klecker and Kurgat aren't invincible, right? Like, they're running
good,
well.
Yeah.
But, like, Day's American collegiate record holder. Like, he's, like, we don't want to give Day credit because he hasn't done it yet on a championship stage.
Right.
But Day, cross country, was like, what? He was like top 6?
He was third in 2017.
Third in 2017. He was. I think he was top 6 in 2018.
Something like that.
Like, he is a gamer, so, like, he doesn't have that splash track name to him yet. Mm-hmm. You know? Because I think
some good times, just hasn't done it in championships.
Yeah, so this might be his chance. Because what if Day goes like, I'm going to win the 5K and get second in the 3K, and we're like, oh, whoa, this team is very different now. Yeah.
Well,
if Day wins the 5K, things are going to be wild.
Yeah, Mike Smith is going to be having a pretty good couple weeks if that's the case. I don't see that happening just with the nature of it to likely be like a 13:40 to 14 flat race at altitude. But I just really trust Klecker, and I think Kurgat will be right there as well, and I just don't know. But at the same time, I don't know, Day's kick seems better. You have to believe what you're seeing with your eyes, and even though he hasn't done it before at the track level, I think he's way improved.
Yeah.
So
They said to put together 40 points, and the best way to do it is 15 in the 5K, 10 in the mile, 15 in the 3K.
then you got to hold a bunch of guys back, play defense in
the 200
the jumps and the 200, which is easy to do in track and field. The classic matchup: sprints and jumps versus distance. Goliath versus David. David versus Goliath. I don't know what you want to call it. This is a hilarious track meet, but
it is.
You know, I mean, all track meet scoring things
I think
are
Mike
hilarious.
Smith thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Mike Smith is going to be sitting at the coach's press conference as the number 1 seed, and he's going to be sitting next to like the LSU coach Dennis Shaver, who's like so used to doing this, and he's going to be like, I bet you Dennis doesn't even know Mike's name.
Yeah.
He's
Well, he probably does now.
But like most of these SEC big Power 5 schools, the Texases, the Oregons, they've never had to deal with something like this.
Well, they won't have to deal with it, period, because, again, they're in different events.
Yeah.
However, they're just hoping that the math doesn't work out for
Yeah.
them. Hey, maybe, you get talk to some other athletes, such as some coaches that have guys in the 5K and say, hey, if you see an orange and blue jersey, maybe swap them an elbow. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's a weird scenario. We've had this before, obviously, but Oregon was so good in the distance events with Ches and Jenkins and then all those milers that they were the big favorites. Now it's a lot closer here because you don't have a Cheserek type or a Jenkins type.
And
maybe.
Oregon at least had that token jumper or that token like hurdler.
Yeah, give them a few, a multi-athlete. That
so it makes it seem like a very like
a track team. This is
a track team, but like this is like there's not even the token 400 runner on a DMR. It's only distance runners.
Yeah, man, let's go for it.
Which makes it more wild. Looking at some doubles, the Air Nagus decided not to do the mile.
Not surprising. He's a DMR guy.
Once again, decided to go all in on the DMR. Cooper Tier decided not to do the 5K or the mile, going all in on the DMR 3K.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on these 355 guys? And Klecker decided not to do the mile. He's a 355 guy.
Oh, that makes sense.
Going all in on the 5K, 3K.
This is super logical, I think. DMR, 3K for Tier. I mean, you have to run the DMR after you break the collegiate record, even though they're going to be going up against Nagoose. Nagoose, glad to see him in an individual event indoors. I think this will be his first time. He's got super duper wheels, can time his kicks perfectly. They're obviously the defending champions in the DMR, so you have to have him in there. And then Klecker, the 3 and the 5 may just make total sense for him. Everything makes sense. And
why doesn't Nagoose though try to win the mile?
Well, you're focusing on outdoors. He wants to win the 1,500 again outdoors. There's no reason for him to triple. And he always says, love my teammates. My teammates
I guess that's
are
why
my
he has a 3K for its individual glory, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And like I said, his DMR thing is big with the teammates. Last year, they brought a bandwagon of Irish fans, and I assume they'll do that again, even though the drive, I think, will be, it'll be about the same from South Bend to Birmingham to South Bend to Albuquerque. But yeah, they're huge in the team thing. The defending champions, you have to do that. And then he'll try for the 3K, which don't count him out, even though he's a better miler.
Don't count him out. He's ranked number 1.
Yeah, but okay. He's not ranked number 1.
No, but we're projecting him to win in our rankings. So he's not counted out.
Yeah, he ran 746 by himself.
746, 355 guy, you can kick. You're the best 3K runner.
Yeah.
But I was surprised that Oliver Hoare decided to run the mile because Wisconsin, they were neck and neck with Notre Dame at the Alex Wilson Invitational.
Oh, so Wisconsin's.
So Oliver Hoare is running the mile, so he's not going to be fresh.
Probably going to, they'll put somebody else in, right?
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting that Wisconsin chose to not go all in the way Notre Dame did.
They don't want that smoke, man. He got beat a second year in a row to Alex Wilson at the line.
But it's close, so you know, hey, it's close. If we're in it, maybe because then they kind of, they sandbagged last year by putting Hoare on the leadoff and not having McDonald anchor, and it was just not the same team. But these 4 guys could have all just run the DMR fresh and go for it, but I was kind of surprised at. So, I think Hoare's still going to run the DMR. It's just not going to be fresh Hoare. He's going to go up against a fresh Tier and a fresh Nagoose. It's going to be.
Is it possible at all that a team beats Notre Dame? Do you see it?
Oregon, Cooper Tier's looking good. He looked good in the mile.
But he's not. He doesn't have.
Yeah, he doesn't have that.
Have Nagoose gears, to me.
Yeah.
I know they broke the collegiate record, but that's kind of meaningless here at Altitude in a championship race.
Indiana, Mao is kind of...
We've talked about them too many times over the years. Kyle Mao's been there for 19 years. They've had the same guys. It's just
he's only a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah. It's just no, these guys, we know it's... my opinion basically is Notre Dame's going to win. It'll be close to last lap because it's DMR, but...
What's more likely to happen? Notre Dame win or your marathon trials predictions being right? Is this as confident as you were about your marathon trials predictions with Desi making the team?
Yeah, man. Predictions, they don't always work out. Some people just...
So you just made a guarantee about this Notre Dame team, and now you're all over the sudden
I know.
Maybe I shouldn't have.
They should be concerned about my picks, because when I pick people, they tend to underperform. Although I picked Rupp, so, whatever.
Well,
I pretty much made up for myself.
Picking Rupp.
Yeah.
DMR is kind of interesting looking at it. Middle Tennessee State made the DMR. They're 12th, right? But their 1,200 and mile legs are not running because they're running in the 5K.
Whoops.
Chimedi and Chogi.
Wanted DMR runners.
And Middle Tennessee State doesn't have much depth.
Yeah, no.
How many times do you think they will be lapped at NCAAs?
They're that bad? What are their next guys? Do they have a 4.0 miler or anything?
No. Let's bring it up. Hold on. So we're going to bring up Middle Tennessee State's current depth at the distance events. So no Chogi, no Chimedi. That's what we're living on. They're going to have a...
What was their point in doing this? Just to get guys to...
get a team. Keep it going. So they have a 46-second 400 runner. He's going to run. That's good for them. They have a 149 800 runner.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
And then...
Oh, they get a 409.
No, but that's the 800 guy.
Oh, shoot.
So wait, but they'll probably run Titus Legat, who's 151 800. So they have a 151 800 guy. Then they have a 409 miler.
Who is underrated, rounding into form.
And then they have a 410 miler who would probably lead off. So the lead off with their anchors are 410 guys. Anchor and lead off are 410 guys.
I've always said, 410 is just waiting to be a sub 4, right? That's just 10 seconds, So
it's a lot. So can Hillary Camayo break 3 minutes?
Probably not, but
Right.
good experience. And their last year's Western Kentucky, right?
Yeah. It's wild. I mean, it's kind of weird how you can qualify a team and then the reason your team was there, you can just like not run them, you know? But especially with DMRs when like you'll see a team with like Kansas will qualify with Sharon Lochetti as the anchor and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
they replace a 436 woman with like a 450 woman. And
Some would say maybe you should set a rule where it has to be like 3 of the 4 people that ran on it.
Yeah.
But I guess injuries. you can
Injuries,
always
you're
say,
like, you're forcing us to run an injury team, you know?
Yeah. So maybe not. You can't change that rule. But yeah, this is a doozy. I mean, they just did this for kicks and giggles, I guess. I mean, they just gave it a shot.
Yeah, and it worked. More power to them. Yeah, so what other like doubles or triples or quadruples?
The old quads. I don't know if
No,
do we have
no,
anybody doing
no,
a quadruple?
No quadruple.
What's up with Devin Dixon? He qualified for the 800?
He did. He's in the 800.
All the way there in
Seventh.
7th. Man, what is... My man, I don't know what to expect out of him. He coming in, he was the favorite, but coming into the season, he would have thought of being the favorite, being the runner-up outdoors, and having run so fast in his career. He hasn't run fast this year, and that's obviously not even to mention the fact that we kind of always had question marks of his, I don't know, his ability in championship races, because he kind of seems like he psychs himself out. Now he's coming in and he's not a favorite. Maybe that's a better position for him to be in. But from a guy who ran 145, which converted to 144 last year indoors, now he's in the kind of in the middle of the pack in an event that I guess you have to say Jewett's the favorite because he's run the fastest, but that men's 8 is wide open and pretty darn weak.
Yeah. Let's look at the mile 3K.
Just nothing to talk about in that 800. Yeah, let's just ignore it.
There's a guy from North Carolina, A&T, Abbas Abakar. You think they're a sprint school, but they got an 800-meter guy in there.
There you go.
16th. I mean, Luis Peralta is a freshman who made it.
There
from
you go.
Oregon. Cooper Williams, another Indiana special.
Who has been a junior for 7 years, it seems like, and also looks like Thor. But
I just want to know, let's get the Lincoln fast pick.
Okay.
Fast pick.
in the mile,
Mile.
I'm gonna go with Hoare.
Hoare?
Yeah,
Okay. 3K.
Klecker.
Klecker over
Yeah.
Nagoose?
Yes, I trust Klecker. Yeah, I think Klecker's sweeping.
Klecker in the 5 as well?
Yeah, I think he's that good.
Where does Kurgat finish in the 3 and the 5?
Yeah, I think he finishes second in the 5, and then I think he finishes a little down in the 3.
I agree with that.
He's good. Cross country guy is more, cross country more of his strength though, and I just don't know if he has the wheels, especially coming off a double.
Yeah, I agree. Oregon has 3 guys in the mile: Charlie Hunter, James West, and freshman Cole Hawker. NAU has 2 in the mile: defending champion Jordy Beamish and Theo Quacks,
Yeah.
freshman from Northern Arizona. Who scores more points in that mile? Oregon with their 3, or NAU with their 2?
Oregon. I trust those. Oregon's been running well. West, it's not even a record, but he didn't.
But scoring more points, just because, I mean, Beamish scores 8.
Sure. No, I
you
agree
get
with
second,
you. No,
right? And
let's-
then,
To me, I'm going to take out Hawker, and I'm going to take out Quacks.
You don't
so
think
it's
they
a
make the
2-1.
final?
No, I don't think so.
I think he does.
And Hunter just ran very well at BU, and West also ran well in the 1500 the day before. I think those guys are ready to score if West can make sure he does not false start. Not always an easy thing for him. And I like them a little bit better. I mean, Beamish is good. He's solid, defending champion, but this is where we find out if that win was a fluke or not, to me, for Beamish. He's a great runner. I know that, but is he that guy? Am I right now thinking, oh, he's for sure top 2? I'm not. And
You think he easily get 5th? Just have a
I
bad
mean,
day.
this is a throw a spaghetti on the wall type of a race. I think everybody is pretty equal. Villarreal can finish well. His positioning is often terrible.
He also
though.
can not make the final.
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty much a wild card. I just like what I've been seeing out of Hunter and West, and I think they both finish in the top 5.
So let's do another Oregon NAU matchup. 3K. Oregon has Cooper Tier and James West. NAU has Gorhalva Beamish Day.
That's where you gotta like NAU more. Obviously, body count as well.
She's going off of bodies.
And what they did at BU, and it's at altitude. That's where I think Grijalva, this is his revenge tour race coming off of NCAAs. I know he's going to be in the 5 before that, but he looked so good at BU. And then you talk about Day, who also was there, and then Beamish. I know he's going to be coming off the mile, but I have faith in those guys all being All-Americans. And I don't. Tier, you want to because he's run so well in the 5, so well in the mile, and he had a good cross-country season. But he underperformed big time at NCAA Outdoors in the 5K. Different scenarios, obviously, and I just got to see it before I can believe it. So,
some interesting tidbits. Florida did not qualify in the 4x4.
Yeah, it's wild.
When's the last time Florida men haven't had
You
a 4x4?
always love asking me these questions. It's probably been a long time ago.
It's been a long time.
The Grant Holloway era, absolutely over, right? No 4x4.
And here's the thing, though. Like, Florida right now, we're ranking them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th. You know, I think they're going to improve from their 8th position. But Florida makes the podium, man. Like, they not just makes the podium, they're, like, always top 2. Like, they were second outdoors.
What we talk about the Webmore factor. What about the Holloway factor?
Yeah, second outdoors. They were first and second last year.
Okay, but let's Grant Holloway.
Yeah, but
We
and
know
then
Grant Holloway,
in 2018 they were first, they had a win in a second place in 2018. In 2017 they had a win in a second place. They've been top 2 for. I mean, I'm not even going back 16 and 15. I'm sure there's also the same thing.
Right.
They're top 2 like every year. So
Sure.
for them to be ranked 8th, is that who's wrong? Are we wrong for ranking them 8th? Or will history be right and they'll still finish top 2?
Who do they have right now? They have a KWO.
Okay, they have 160 guy. They have some
Is KWO in the 2?
No.
No. Okay.
They have like a freshman in the 200, but he's not going to
Okay.
score.
They have some field event guys.
So this is what they have. They have a KO who can be top 2, right? They have a freshman 200-meter runner who's not going to score. But maybe he finds a way to get 8th, whatever. They have an 800-meter guy, but I don't think maybe. Justin Pacifico, who's crazy. He was running 157 last year, and now he just ran 147.
That's always good to cut off 10 seconds off your PB.
Chris Zielinski factor right there.
Oh.
They have a hurdler, Corey Poole, but he's more of a 400 hurdler, and 60 hurdles is going to be harder.
It's tough.
They have a high jumper who's like middle of the pack. They have 2 triple jumpers, one that's all right. They have bottom of the pack shot putter, and they have a good weight throw.
A lot of bodies, but maybe not a ton of scorers, basically.
Yeah, and they still have a lot of entries. It's just like they don't have the Holloways,
right?
The Armand Halls, the Hakeem Sani Browns.
Yep. No, he's gone professional.
They could all still been on this team if people didn't go pro.
Yeah, it's just, you want to have money, though.
Yeah, that money is an important
Everyone,
thing.
when they found out that you can get paid to do track and field, it's like, it's tough. Do I want to come back and not get paid, or do I want to get paid? And they decided to get paid. So, makes sense. But yeah, they could still be a juggernaut, but, that's a lot of teams, right?
Yeah, so Florida, I still think can find a way to move in. I don't think they're going to win, but if they found a way to get 4th, that would be very impressive, especially with this crop of guys. Another team that I think is going to be kind of interesting that is ranked really low, Arkansas. They have a lot of guys. It's just they're all ranked low. And if Arkansas just finds a way to put together and has a flash here, a flash there.
Flash everywhere.
Cameron Griffith, he's a great miler. He's going to be in a DMR 3K. Maybe he finds a way to get that DMR to get 5 points.
He's finished well in the 3K before.
Get a 5 points in the 3K. That's 10 points. There,
he was like 3rd in the 1500 last year.
3rd in the 1500 last year.
Underrated. Sleeper.
Yeah. Sleeper right there. I mean, he was the Nutty Combe, Wisconsin B-Race Invitational champion.
Put that right on top of the bio.
That is number 1. ESPN's going to have that on the lower third.
Yeah.
So zoom in on him. But it's going to be interesting. We'll talk more about it throughout the week. How are you feeling right now? I mean, we just had a big build-up to the trials. We didn't build up anything. We didn't run.
I built up calories.
But we built up expectations and hype.
Oh.
Now we're coming down off that high, right?
Yeah.
How do we get you back on a new high for these next 2 weeks for NCAA Indoors?
Yeah, gotta look into it, and with that, and I think with the also the professionals, feels like we haven't paid as much attention NCAA wise this year. Obviously, there's been the NAU rising and stuff like that, but been focused on like what pros have been doing. There have been American records. There was U.S. Indoors, fast times at Millrose. So it feels like the pros have gotten their due. Now it's time to at least give, makes sense, the NCAA athletes at NCAAs. But yeah, without like Holloway and Roberts and those types of guys, and then no Sonny Brown and no
Sydney.
Divine Oduduru. Well, obviously no Sydney, but going back even to
Sha'Carri Richardson.
Yeah,
that was
Sha'Carri,
fun.
yeah. The star power is a little bit lacking specifically on the sprint, so it's time to give them their time to shine, and I'll be interested.
Do you think there's a chance though after this NCAA championship that star power will be there again because they'll have like these
there's
big
always a chance.
performances?
I mean, I think we're going to see everybody really do the same that they did outdoors because it's a trials year and everybody's going to start to really round into form. I think with it being an Olympic trials, an Olympic year, maybe people are taking indoors a little bit slower and just like, I got to get geared up because, a lot of these international athletes are like going to be at the Olympics, so like a KWO will probably be at the Olympics. So it's time to really start giving the collegians their due as they get set to really start running fast. Maybe at NCAA indoors, but, certainly beyond.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin was talking about how he's kind of like, he just doesn't have the spark on this meet. He says there's not like the whoa, we talk about a lot of times NCAA indoors is like one of the best. NCAAs in general is always one of the best track and field meets in the world.
He's just jaded,
Yeah, why is he jaded?
Guy.
Did you rub off on him?
No, I'm not against NCAAs. I mean,
you didn't even know.
He's just more of a professional guy.
He's just like, yeah.
He doesn't have that authenticity, just the purity of NCAA sports. We know NCAA just a pure organization, and Kevin's just not that type of guy. He's just more in it for the money, which I understand. But I'm me and you, not necessarily. We're here for the NCAA athletes. No, I don't know. He was complaining going back to 2018 about we're losing Sydney, we're losing Michael Norman, we're losing Rai Benjamin. It's not gonna be the same. And he still says last year wasn't the same. But last year was pretty darn good with Holloway. Now I understand this year. People are going to say, there's no Holloway, there's no Roberts, there's no Morgan McDonald. We say this every year, and sure, it may not be the level of Michael Norman and Grant Holloway and Sidney McLaughlin and all those, but it's going to pick up. People are going to run fast. Somebody's going to run, I'm sure, somehow, in the two. Some people will run way, way faster. The men's and women's distance events will crown, new, like, kings and queens of the distance events, and that's where the excitement will be. It hasn't necessarily been there yet this indoor season, but it'll a week and a half from now we'll have plenty to talk about. We'll have athletes that are potentially going to be sleepers to make the Olympic team coming off of this. This happens every time, so it's coming basically.
There was one notable sprint scratch that I didn't talk about before we wrap this up. Was Florida State sprinter Jyla Kirkland.
Mm-hmm.
She had the third fastest 60. She ran 7:17. She scratched. So
probably.
Hurt. I mean, I was surprised Quincy Hall didn't scratch because Quincy Hall, South Carolina 400-meter hurdler, very good. Could make the Olympic team in 400 hurdles. He scratched the final of SECs and didn't run in the 4x4 at
Who
SECs.
won the 400 at SECs?
Who won the 400?
Yeah. Yeah, who can say?
Oh, probably Bryce Deadman.
Okay.
Yeah, Texas A&M.
We can look this up right now, but I'm just curious. I mean, that's always typically indicative of who's going to have a good race at NCAAs, but the 400s just Kevin. Speaking of Kevin, talking about should we just cancel the 400s this year? He wanted to cancel them at USA's, and
he definitely should have canceled.
yeah. I'm going to find out who won that 400. Yes, he did win the 400. Bryce Deadman did win the 400 SECs.
Yeah, he's the fastest time in the nation, so I just assumed that was run at
He's
SECs.
hoping to not have the 400s canceled at NCAAs.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's Elijah Godwin. He's the man who got stabbed by impaled by a javelin from Georgia, so you can write a feature story on
Thanks for telling
healing
me
the wound.
Do my content.
That's like the title, Healing the Wound.
I mean, he's fortunate.
Georgia's star came back and finished third at the NCAA Championships. That's the headline.
And here we go. Matthew Bowling. What are we thinking? What are we seeing out of him? His first NCAA. He's kind of been under the radar this season.
He has. He's been running the 200. He did a 60 once or twice.
Yeah.
Decided just did a 200. He's probably looked at his better event. He hasn't. I think he got second SECs.
In the 60?
to Terrence Laird of LSU.
Oh yeah, you're right. He did.
I think
in the 2 heat, the classic
he's
2 heat.
he's not there yet. I think he's gonna finish fourth. He's gonna finish fourth, and it just doesn't have that combination of the young freshman and, let's be honest, white freshman in a sprint event, white lightning type marquee. It doesn't come off when he is getting fourth. It works when the combination is with wins.
And just going back 9 months ago, all the attention he was getting. I'm sure he's actually enjoying this now. He's like, I'm a normal sprinter.
Yeah,
again.
no, he's not in the spotlight.
Yeah, last year was a bit ridiculous considering he ran sub 10.
Well, because then they compare him to Bolt because he runs one time, and they look at a slow Olympic final and they're like, oh look, you would have won that Olympic final. It's that's not how running works, and so
it is not. I can verify it is not, because me just getting blown from a jet engine does not mean I can, run with Usain Bolt. So maybe Matt Bowling could beat Usain Bolt right now.
Do you think he could?
Yeah. Right now?
What could Usain Bolt run 100 in right now?
Maybe 10 seconds? Yeah, you're right. Okay. Hey, I'd be willing.
If you gave him
a week?
A day notice.
A day notice?
24-hour notice.
Wait, how is he going to... Is he going to stretch?
Yeah, he's going to stretch the entire day because he hasn't been stretching for a year.
Yeah, that'd be a good race, man. I think that'd be a fun one. I think you lose a lot of speed, though, when you don't train, but...
He could create a new nickname, go Fat Bolt or something.
Fat Bolt?
Fat Bolt. And he goes out there and it's just
Yeah, Puma and Gatorade would get behind that big marketing campaign, Fat Bolt.
It's like a weight loss campaign. He could do a little commercial. Hey, I haven't run in a while. And have him in a giant bodysuit. And then, flash forward 6 months later, he's drinking Gatorade.
Oof.
And being like, look at me.
Yes, again, what Gatorade? Oh, you'd say you'd be losing the weight. I thought you were saying.
No, losing the weight. It'll be a
Okay.
promotion, a healthy lifestyle. All right, anyway, that does it. These are the entries. Any surprises for you? No, you're kind of just whatever. They're
Well,
entries.
like I said, I mean,
the Dani
Jones in
Jones
the 8 is crazy.
Jones in the 8, no Nagus in the mile. And will NAU do it? They got 10 entries, and it's NAU versus the world, or the Power 5 world, I guess. Yeah. Oregon's also sneakily has a lot
Sky, not a Power 5 conference?
No. Oh. Oregon might win the meet as well. They have a lot of bodies. I mean, we've been talking about NAU's distance, but Oregon has an 800 guy. They have 3 in the mile. They have 2 in the 3K, and they have 1 in the 5K.
Yeah, they don't have
and they have a DMR.
They could podium. I don't think they could win, but they could podium.
But they do have more bullets than NAU. It's just the NAU bullets seem better because
it's just their bullets are coming out of a musket while NAU's are coming out of a 21st century type of a gun.
But I mean, Peralta could get 5th. They could win the DMR. Cooper Tier could get 2nd in the 3K.
Yeah.
Jackson Messler could get 6th in the 5K. And then they have a jumper, and then, put it all together. We could be talking about, we're going to get some oh, you forgot about Oregon.
Oof, yeah, definitely.
Actually, now that I'm talking myself into it, I think Oregon might win.
What are they? Oregon might win?
Yeah. LSU comes down. NAU kind of just has a good but not great day, and Oregon just has a phenomenal day, and then they win the meet.
Wow. Underrating Robert Johnson and Ben Thomas. Watch out.
That. 58-second mark. Anyway, that'll do it. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Peace.
Bye.